Thank you so much for joining Optimistic Opportunities today. You are in for a big treat. There's no words that I can explain what a big treat this is. Dan Shannon, I got to know when I was working with Shannon Media, with he and his wife and some others. And there's a Girl magazine right there behind me, just for fun. And Dan is the epitome of an optimistic person. He literally started Chapel Hill magazine out of the trunk of his car, riding around Chapel Hill, talking to people about his vision and dream. So you can't do that without being optimistic. And Dan is the president of Shannon Media and also the founder, he and his wife, Ellen. And we saw Ellen a few weeks back on this show. And today, Dan and I are hopefully going to not go rogue on us. We're going to keep on those rails, we hope. Might be a challenge for us. It'll be fun today. And but anyway, welcome, Dan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for asking me, Carl. This is it's an interesting exercise. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Seriously, really, we're not letting our optimism overshadow the challenges that many are still having right now. So I definitely want to nod towards that, where there has been definitely challenges for people. But the reason that this show is here is so that people can learn new tools from some of the great people I know in the community here in the Raleigh-Durham Chapel Hill area. And hopefully this makes a difference in your lives. So we'll just jump in. What is requiring your focus more than you had anticipated?
Oh, thanks. And I'll before I tackle that, I will add that I'm under no illusions. This may be the hardest time in our country's recent history. I can't think of a harder time. A lot of my friends and colleagues are struggling, and everything is tempered by that. So there's no giddiness in my life, but I do have a gratitude list, and it's very important to me. And frankly, I check it at least, I don't know, a couple of times a week to remind me of the good things. And as you said, I work at a publishing company. We publish Chapel Hill Magazine, Durham Magazine, Chatham Magazine, and Heart of NC Weddings, which used to be called Southern Bride and Groom last year. I thought that I've been in this business for over 40 years. I really thought I knew pretty much, I had it down. Well, I have to come into work every day and refocus, relearn. We're doing things differently. We're trying to, it's the focus on it has been, what exactly do our readers need? What exactly is going to respond to them? We don't want to be trivial. We don't want to be light, but we also want to, our charter is to bring the best of our communities. And how do you get the most out of them? And what's best for our advertisers? So how can we work with everybody? And like I said, kind of arrogantly, probably, I thought I knew my job. Well, I'm relearning enormous parts of it and rethinking some very basic premises, because our world has changed too. I'm knock wood, our business has suffered much less than many others. We're very grateful.
But knowing you as well as I do, that jazzes you. That jazzes you to come up with something new. To have
surprisingly, yeah, it does. I mean, it's nobody that I know is in a rut anymore. We may have tough days, we may have challenges, and we all do. But nobody is like, oh, same old, are they? I mean, I don't know of a person. Everything is different. This conversation we're having right now, very different than anything we'd had before. I do believe though that what you said about business people have to be optimistic by nature, and I am. My default is an optimistic nature. I mean, we have good days and bad days, but I got to tell you, it's different now too. I really do believe an optimistic outlook is a decision now. It's got to be intentional for me, or I could easily go places that aren't helpful. And we can only be successful in my business with a good outlook. I mean, it's just we believe in our company that what's around the next corner, over the next hill, is going to be okay. It's going to be good. We just all have to get there together. So I think it's intentional now. I used to be lazier about my attitude. I now have to be intentional, or I'm not going to be as good at my best.
So how are you keeping in touch with people? I mean, there's so many different ways we do that now. What are you doing? Because you're a people person. I'm thinking that you get energy from other people. Is that true?
I'm not at all downplaying the impact of this whole event on introverts, but it is horrible for us extroverts. It's just not what we want to do or how we're geared. I think I'm doing everything else that everybody else is doing. The Zoom world that we all live in now is important, and it was very cool, but I'm getting a little tired of it. Right. It's getting a little old, though I'm extremely comfortable with it now. My kids are all over the world, so we Zoom once a week, Sunday, very religiously, 2:00 our time, and that's one way of staying in touch. I have some people that I consider in my pod who have been very careful, like we have, and we meet for socially distant coffee a couple times a week. I think there's a little bit more of that going on, and we'll do it in my office out in the parking lot. We'll bring there'll be 3 of us. We'll bring chairs and we'll sit apart, but we're all of us really appreciative of human contact, don't you find?
Yeah, I think that's been challenging. It was interesting. I just came back from vacation, went down to the beach, and it was interesting to be there because we didn't stay in a hotel. We stayed at a friend's place, so we were distanced by design from people. And walking outside and walking on the beach, we only did that during low times. We were on the sound side, so there weren't a lot of people on the sound side. Some of the neighbors, so we hung out social distancing from those neighbors. But then we actually went shopping one day with our face masks and
right.
And we hadn't done really any shopping at all, hardly. And that was really interesting to just sort of see the difference in how people reacted. Like some people just won't look at anybody and they'll like walk really far away from you, or other people will smile. And so I think it's still really challenging from what I see how people are reacting when they see people in public.
Oh, absolutely. Our magazines are upbeat, you know that. I should add here that without Carl, Durham Magazine wouldn't exist. He and I, and mainly he, brought that thing to life. And it's important to us now. When I said that we can't be trivial, we don't want to just write stories about ignoring the world we live in, right? Because we're a magazine for people at home and whatnot. We're doing a lot of stories about what you're doing at home. I have a story in mind about what hobbies are you doing? Have you adopted that you've been putting off, but now that you're at home every day? I'm hearing a lot of people are doing that. Learning the piano, doing woodworking, all sorts of things that are fun to do. We'll write those stories because I think it's important to share the good news as well as the bad news. We're not. We're upbeat, realistic. We think that our magazines can play a role right now, as they have for years, but we think it's now more important than ever. We think of them sort of as a public utility, is that if we do our job, it'll help the community stay in touch, stay connected. We don't charge for them. We want as many people in the cities who want to read it. My point was I have a very young staff, and I love them all. They're so good to be around. This is a strange time, and they're going to always remember this time. But they're all so funny. They're all handling. I mean, their natural habitat is not being private or solo, and how they're handling it is an inspiration.
I think the thing that you said about the magazine and it being important during this time
I hope so. If we
Also
do our job
knowing
right.
the mission really well for the magazine is you try to get as many faces in the magazine as possible in the community.
Oh, absolutely. That's
So
the fun part.
With that strategy, you are connecting people.
I think so.
You,
I hope so.
you are the connector who is connected, who is connecting people.
But it's
So
a different
kind of
world.
layered there.
It's a different world now. We did an interview with Mayor Schul, and we put him on the cover because he's got a great message that the city needs to hear. I love the fact of the quality of his leadership. I'm not talking about his policies. I happen to agree with him, but that's not the point. Is that he's smart and he's willing to lead, right?
Right.
I think that's so important. And we've got him at Carolina Theater holding his mask, not wearing it, but holding it, because we wanted to get across, this is just an intermission. That's what it said on the marquee.
Right.
Later on, the world, we can't seem to get out of this pandemic. And we did another photograph with 3 mayors on Chapel Hill magazine, Carrboro, Hillsborough, and Chapel Hill. And one of the mayors said she really wanted to photograph with her mask. And I said, no, I'm not interested in that because I don't think that's such, well, she was right. And we saw the picture. I don't know if you can see this, but they're all there in their masks, and they look kind of badass, frankly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I think they're sending the right message to our readers, and we're trying to be a connector.
Right.
You know, and the heart of NC weddings. I mean, the way people are getting married now, so different, so fun, so creative. We ran a picture in one of the magazines of a wedding on top of the parking deck downtown Durham. Mm-hmm. It looked joyful. You know, it might sound sad. It looked joyful. People are getting their joy where they can these days, aren't they? Yeah.
So anything that's been surprising about this time for you?
Yeah, everything. I got to tell you, if you had asked me in January, could we shut down America? I would have said absolutely not. There's just simply no way. It's unfathomable. It's like stopping the post office. It can't be done. I mean, it just can't be done. We've done it. We've shut it down, and I'm surprised. I'm obviously terribly troubled by it. I'm glad my kids are of an age where I don't have to worry about their schooling and whatnot. They're all out of school. We just need the will to do the hard things for a few weeks so we can put this behind us. We're willing to do the hard things. I just think we all need, frankly, I think we need the leadership to get there, but I'm confident we will. But yeah, everything surprised me. I didn't think it could happen. When they talked about shutting down, I thought, well, that's not possible. Well, it is possible, but the cost is just tremendous. Thank goodness, you know, to be grateful. I've got to look at the people that are working hard, and we're able to keep busy and create magazines still and events. We had to close. I don't know if your folks know that we did Taste, the food event, Sip and Savor, WellFest. Well, obviously, we had to shut those down for the year because there's no restaurants, there's no venue, and there are no customers, right?
Right.
So, but Rory Gillis, my partner, is working hard to come up with virtual events. I'll give you an example. The Sip and Savor is going to be November 7th. And what's going to happen is people will virtually attend, buy tickets. They're going to go to Johnson Lexus, pick up these very cool coolers of food and wine, and take them home, tune into our day-long Zoom presentations with chefs and wine experts. We're trying to bring it, we're trying to keep it going. We think people, I think it'll be a ball. I think a lot of people are going to say, that sounds like fun. And let's face it.
That's a great way that you're still connecting people.
Still connecting people, and let's have a little fun, for gosh sake.
Ways to connect people. That's great.
Yeah. So, and we're doing that with several of our events as we're going virtual in a way that we think is going to be fun and useful. I mentioned the gratitude list.
Yeah.
And I actually write it down, type it down. I should mention, and you don't know this, I don't think, is that Ellen and I are going to be grandparents for the first time.
Wow.
And another kid got engaged. And my other kid, I've got 3. It's just all good news. She got a really good job during the pandemic that so all of my kids are healthy and employed, and not everybody can say that. I'm surprised to be able to say that. I'm just so pleased for them. So we take our gratitude not for granted here.
That's right. Well, if you know a Shannon is a hard worker, creative, not going to stop, figure it out. There's no stop sign anywhere.
Yeah, well, you could be saying that in a mirror. You're the same way.
Well, thank you. Well, Dan, this has been such a joy. Cueing music.
It's good to talk to you, my friend. It's really good to talk to you.
And as always, it's such a pleasure to see you and have you in my life. I always think of you guys all the time. Be sure to tune in next week and see Barbara Jessie. She is the
oh, you're getting a good guest. She'll be terrific.
She's the head of Community Works, formerly known as PTA Thrift Shop. And Dan Shannon, thank you so very much. You're so awesome.